Hey guys, how we doing, ladies? It's man exciting to be in what I kind of refer to as season two after the first bye week. Obviously, wish we'd have gone into it in a little different circumstances, but man, I love the fact that there's so much still in front of us, and we can't wait to be back in Jordan-Hare. 17th straight sellout, which I think is a new record, and get to play a night game and a rivalry like this that dates back for years is super exciting to our staff and to our kids and our fans. And I know it'll be an incredible environment for us to go test ourselves against another top quality opponent. It'll be fun to be at home for sure. We haven't handled the road as well as you would hope, but hopefully a home environment changes some things the way we play. And before we move on to Georgia, just you expect more of you work your whole life to get to a place like Auburn. Heck, there's 16 staffs that get an opportunity to coach in this league, and when you don't perform in a manner that gives your kids a chance to win a game like last couple weeks ago against a really good football team, it's sickening and it's disappointing. And just assure you that we've worked tirelessly in the open week to correct and give our kids the best chance to win. The accountability rests upon me and our staff, and obviously there's things that kids got to be accountable for too, but by and large it was it's disappointing that we didn't give our kids a better chance to win that football game. But the great thing is it's behind us, and there's so much sitting in front of us. Starts with this week playing at home against Georgia, and really told our team yesterday how excited I am, and I know our staff is, and they'll be the same. So great test, and looking forward to it.
Coach, you guys wear a lot of responsibility for the results week in and week out. Coming out of the bye week, can you talk about what you guys learned, what you saw on the tape, and what kind of pivot you expect offensively?
Yeah, the first thing again I'd say, and love to put this behind us and move on to Georgia, is just it starts with me and with our staff having us adequately prepared to not be behind the chains the whole night. We've done a really good job of taking care of the football, but now you look at the last two games, and we certainly have put ourselves behind the chains way too much with some undisciplined penalties and questionable play calling that puts us behind the chains. That we obviously either didn't coach well enough to execute, or we're just not good schematically plays. So we've studied it all. Got to find a way to stay ahead of the chains, and again, playing at home does make what we want to do a little bit easier. But you're playing against defenses like A&M, Georgia, Oklahoma. You still got to execute really well and have a great plan. So there wasn't much time off during the open week for the staff, at least, or the kids, truthfully, and looking for ways to make sure we improve that.
Hugh, do you think Jackson is too risk-averse? Is that fair to say about him?
We've talked about that because, he's done an incredible job of taking care of the football. And truthfully, when we watch the film together, I'd love him to be a little freer, particularly with the playmakers that we have. And there's times I think he probably would be if we could hold up just maybe another half a second or a second. And but yeah, he's you want him to take care of the football for sure, first and foremost. And him doing that as poorly as we played still kept us in a game and gave us a chance to win. So there's a lot of positives from that. But certainly don't want him to play out of any fear. And hopefully our meetings throughout last week and through the game planning for this week, maybe he'll be a little more freer to give our kids a chance.
Does he show that in practice, or does he look at it?
A mixture to be candid. If you're talking Skelly, free as can be. You're talking the other, it's pretty much mirrors the game when we're going against good on good. First progression, second progression is pretty good, and then he becomes a little hesitant maybe. But we're working through that. Believe in him strongly still, and I've got to do a better job along with Kenton and Jesse and them of coaching him to be freer, and when our guys are in some one-on-ones, give them a chance with catchable balls.
So during the bye week, what did you learn about some of the issues on the offensive line and how to fix those? And are you guys considering making any personnel changes in that group?
Tall will probably get some more rotation for sure. But, protection-wise, guys you can't get in third and long constantly. And I don't know. I mean, I know you watch other games, and it's just not going to work out. And, the first thing we've got to do is not create penalties that put us in those positions that allow us to get the ball out quicker with quick game and things that we don't have to constantly throw it down the field or depend upon a draw or something to try to create an explosive play in those situations where you don't want to, again, put your defense in another disadvantaged situation. So those are very tough. So, again, I don't – the pass pro is can we strain more? Sure. We're not going to win those one-on-ones all the time in those situations when they know what you have to do, nor is a lot of other teams. But the teams that are successful on third down are the teams that are winning first down and staying ahead of the chain. So I think that's our biggest – yes, we can work on technique. Yes, we can work on, our backs protecting better and using our tight ends. But bottom line – let's don't get in those situations too much to where they don't have to be in where the defense has got their ears pinned back constantly coming after us.
Hey, you kind of a two-parter. How would you describe the sense of urgency in the building right now? And then coming off a bye week, is it more of a self-scout through you through the first months of the season, or is it, hey, we have an extra week for Georgia, we're going hard on them?
Mixture. We definitely self-scouted everything to see where we're heavy tendency-wise on things, and then we had plenty of time, so it was both. Got a jump start on Georgia also, and but we did both. Sense of urgency is this. I mean, look, it's always a sense of urgency. You play in the SEC, and there's a lot of teams that are in situations similar to ours, and now it's about the next game up, and that's Georgia for us, and what an exciting opportunity, and that's what our focus is, and the sense of urgency should be heightened constantly when you get these opportunities.
Hugh, Georgia's defense, not quite the same as it has been the last few seasons, but obviously getting results. What stands out to you about them this season with the new personnel they've got?
Yeah, I think just their ability to adjust. I think if you look at how they go about adjusting, they're still very talented. I mean, those linebackers are as good as you're going to see. The secondary is very talented. They're big up front. Maybe not as twitchy as some that you've seen, but boy, they play their technique extremely well, and they're deep, but they adjust, and they're going to they know exactly if you. I've played Kirby a long time, and you hurt them with a play, you can be assured that they'll have an answer for the next time. And he'll have some kind of twist, obviously, that we haven't seen that will be prepared for us. But they're certainly putting themselves in position to win most of their games and getting – even the Tennessee game where they gave up a lot of points. I mean, that happens sometimes when teams get momentum, but their guys found a way to get stops when they had to get the win. So they're resilient also.
Hugh, you mentioned, kind of that sickening feeling after the last game, but it's not often you get the opportunity to play your rival at home in the game right after that, after a bye week. Have you sort of highlighted that with your players this week? Is that sort of your approach? Or like you said, there's always a sense of urgency? Are you just kind of treating it, I guess, like any other game?
Well, in our team meeting yesterday, when we got back off of, they got Friday and Saturday, without practice. And, we just talked about season 2, and that's where we are. I kind of break the season down into those bye weeks as season 1, season 2, and then season 3. And, everything is still in front of us, and it starts with an incredible rivalry game that you ought to just relish the opportunity to play in and get to do it at home, which is, I think we've won 4 straight at home now, and hopefully that gives us an advantage. I know our people will be, a factor in this game, and that will be nice as we haven't experienced that the last couple of weeks. So it's definitely a mixture. Yes, it's always a sense of urgency because it's the next SEC game, but there's no question you can't run from the fact that this rivalry game it means something to a lot of people.
Hugh, do you have a better idea of maybe a timeline for when Horatio returns, and do you expect everybody to be healthy this weekend against Georgia?
Yeah, I was told 6 to 8 weeks on him, so I guess we're on like week 2 now, maybe. So I never know exactly what that means. I don't know if that means it's, you've got that time frame, and then the time frame after that for him to actually, get back going and feel good enough to cut and play at receiver, which, if you're an offensive lineman, it might be a little quicker but when you're running and have to make cuts, you're never quite sure exactly what that timeline looks like. Other than him, feel good at this point that everybody else is available.
How valuable is a week where you don't have an opponent to plan for when you do that self-scout, reevaluate? How important is that for a team when you start to be able to look at some of those minor things that you might not have a chance to look at as deep?
It was, again, didn't like the feeling of going into an open week playing like we did offensively, but it was much needed for me to really get in the room, sometimes by myself, sometimes with Nix and the other staff, and really just, traditionally throughout the years, we've been able to find a way to move the football. And that is, again, like I said in my opening statement, it's just something that doesn't sit well with any of us in that room. And we know that we have good enough players to have a much better performance than what we did, and you have to take that personally. And so it was not a good feeling, but a good time for us to evaluate all of that.
What kind of a recruiting opportunity is this for y'all? Night game, showcase potentially getting over the hump against biggest rival, Cam's jersey retirement, all that stuff to get those guys in this weekend.
Yeah, I think these are the type of environments you want to get your top guys to, for sure, and even other top guys to see the special atmosphere that we have at Auburn and our special fans and student section and everybody that's so supportive. I think we have an environment here that's very attractive. And as I said earlier, nobody wants to hear, nor do I, that we're closer. But we've got to get over the hump in some of these games and prove that we just need a little more help to help us get over the hump against all these top 10 teams that we have in a row here, or top 15, whatever they are. I can't keep up with that, but I think we've proven that we're right in the mix with them, and convincing these recruits in a game like this that come help us get over the hump is vital.
Hugh, I know you've said you guys probably should have run the ball more these last couple of weeks, but looking at when y'all have run the ball so far this season, do you feel like the offensive line, how they're doing in that area? Do you like where they're at in terms of their run block in that group?
I don't know that you're ever totally satisfied, but again, some of the credit goes to the defenses. I mean, if you look at the last 2 we've played, they're doing pretty good against other folks, and it's not the easiest task to block, great defenses consistently all along. But I think if you look at our average per carry, you'd have to say that it's not bad, and we probably need to commit to it more. And so there's some things we certainly can improve upon, but again, I go back to if you know, like our first 7 out of 8 possessions last week, we got behind the chains with penalties some type, whether it's a false start or a holding, and it just every time we seem to have something going, you got in one of those situations, and it makes it even harder to evaluate exactly how consistent we are when we get in a game like that. And it was such a weird deal where you really weren't committed to that consistently because of the down and distances.
Coach, you said in the past before that you don't really feel pressure, but you're okay with expectations. However, staring down possibly 0-3 in the SEC, can you talk about the feeling in the building right now and the urgency around the moment here Saturday?
Yeah, I can only talk about what the staff and I don't sense it from the players. You know, it's the next game up, and you look around, everything is still right in front of you. You've got to forget the last one and move on to the next one, and that's what we're doing. And you get up the next morning, you go to work, and you improve. And I know that this team is closer than we've ever been in the 2.5 years that I've been here or so. And I'm just ready to get us over the hump, and I don't worry about the pressure or any of that, man. I know that we are doing things the right way with our kids, with our team, and I know our young kids are going to be really, really good, and they're really, really talented, and they deserve to have a chance to win those games that we've been in the last few weeks. And we as a staff have got to do everything within our power to afford them that opportunity. They're playing hard with great passion and energy. I don't see any of that wavering. I don't worry about noise. I think that's probably the biggest thing that you worry about with your players is just noise that truthfully has very little significance on whether or not we'll win a game, other than the mental battle that plays on young men sometimes, because unfortunately, you know, too many spend too much time probably getting their identity from that. And we fight hard to make sure they know that that's not the proper place to get their identity from, and that you stay in the fight together to the bitter end. And I think good things will start happening for this team.
Back to your week of self-scout, Xavier at left tackle. Have you guys addressed anything technique-wise, and just how disheartening is it when your left tackle can't live up to that billing in 2 weeks in a row?
Yeah, he's we've done some testing on his hearing, and there's an issue there, and that goes back to us. Should have handled the cadence stuff differently for him, but he really struggles to hear in those environments, and we'll make adjustments for that. When he's on time off the ball and stuff, he's pretty dang good, and nobody hurts more than him. He was really distraught, and I just again wish that we would have put him in a better position.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Yep, thank you.